I lived in San Leandro, California, and worked in Hayward, California, and then after went to Tracy, California. Lived there for about a year. Lived in San Leandro with my sister and my brother-in-law, worked in Hayward, and then after they moved out to Tracy and I went with them, Tracy, California. And then after when I got to Tracy, California, I got really homesick. My parents came for a visit and I came with them. And I cried because I wanted to go back to the United States. And back in '73, I was 13 years old. I was crying because I thought this was very old, I didn't like it, I wanted to go back to the United States. Then I started mingle with people my age, with friends, and they go, oh, let's do this, let's go to the ocean, let's go to the fields, oh, you're gonna help me do this, come, let's go to the cattle, we'll show you how we milk the cattle. And I would go on the horse and all that. So when it came time to go back home, I cried that I didn't want to go back to the United States. I understood after being with my friends and having all this liberty as far as walking around, no traffic, no lighting on the streets. And this is, that's why I didn't like it. But after being with my friends and doing things with my friends, like going to the feasts, walking to the next village, maybe 2 or 3 kilometers, and coming back like at midnight, walking also, and joking around and all that. And when it came time to go back home, I said I didn't want to go back home, I wanted to cry. I went over to a friend's house, and I says, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back, I want to stay, I really like this, but you have to go back. Yeah, and I said, I know that, but I don't want to go. And says, but you have to go back. My parents didn't know where I was. And said, where's Tony? Where's António? Where's, onde é que está o António? Onde é que está o António Fernando? And somebody said, I think he went over Anisette's house. Okay, so they went, but I was ready to go back. Obviously, I understood that I had to go back. And my friend said, no, you go back and finish your studies. And when you finish your study, then if you feel you should come back, then come back. So what happened at that time? I really got homesick. When I went back to the United States, I used to go to my room and listen to the music that we played here, that they played here, or that I listened in the radio. And that used to bring me a lot of memories. So in 1977, I came back again. I says, I'm going to go back just to see how things are. But I came back for like 4 months, all summer vacation. At that time, we left school in June. I came in June, part of June, July, August. At the end of August, I went back. It was 2 months and a half, more or less. Really enjoyed it. I made sure that this is what I want. I have to go back, continue my studies, my high school education. After high school education, I got my job. My dad was always thinking of coming back, but he never took the first step. So then I went to California. At that time, he was like maybe 55. He always desired to come back. However, he would not come back without his retirement. So what I did at that time, I went to California, and at that time I was 22 years old. I went to California when I was 21, stayed there about 1 year. And 22 years old, July of 1982, I packed my suitcases from California, went to New Bedford, went to my dad's house, and told him, I'm going back to the Azores. I brought the bags that they have at that time were made out of paper, hard paper. So I got most of the memories that I have there, little knickknacks. I put it into that suitcase. And I also had a normal suitcase, but I brought back one of the suitcases that my parents took when they went. I brought my suitcase in '67. Yes. We had it up in the attic, and I went there and I just put things in there. And came back in 1982, went to live with an aunt that I had here for about maybe a month or two. I went to travel agencies because I was a travel agent. Various travel agencies with my, resume. They didn't know, what is this for? And it says, basically it explains all the work and all that. Okay, if you should need an employee, let me know. Em português, se precisar de empregado, diga-me alguma coisa, cá está o meu currículo. E portanto, tenho aqui o nome das pessoas conhecidas, números de telefone. Pronto, basicamente é isso. Then one agency contacted me, which was Ornelas. So I went to live in Ponta Delgada in an apartment, actually a room. It was a house and I rented a room in that house. Worked in Ornelas. I spoke much better English than what I speak now. They sent me to Terceira because of the Americans at that time. And I got really homesick of São Miguel because in 1982 it was like 2 years after the earthquake in Terceira. So they had a lot of building going on. And then I said, no, I came from America to be in São Miguel, to be in Nordeste. So I quit. I came back. This friend of mine says, do you have your high school diploma, the equivalent to here? I says, no, I don't. Oh, I'm getting mine. Do you want to study? Because there's like a tutor, a priest, Padre Florencio was a priest, and he taught me Portuguese. Because I didn't know hardly any Portuguese. I spoke Portuguese, but bad Portuguese, because I left here when I was 7 years old. I was like, I had 1 month of school, basically. So I says, okay. He said, okay. I used to walk from Santo Antônio to Feira and back, no transportation, and he would teach me Portuguese history, Portuguese language, so I could take an exam to get my equivalency as far as the 12th grade was concerned. 12º ano de escolaridade. Fiz exame ad hoc, it's called the exame ad hoc. Fiz exame ad hoc e fiquei com a equivalência do 12º ano. At that time, I got a job teaching English here in Nordeste. I taught English for 3 years. Then a bank called Banco Comercial dos Açores, used to be called Banco Michelense, there was an opening. Well, actually, going a little bit back, when I came here for a visit, I went to this bank and I had my psychotests, those exams that multiple choice and all that. I got a good grade, but I told them that I couldn't stay because I had to go back finish my education. So at that time, when I heard about the opening, I applied, and they were looking at it and said, well, we're not sure because your exams, they're still valid because they're valid for 2 years, and I came back within that time. So I said, I'm here now, I know there's an opening, and I'm interested in that opening. In Nordeste, it wasn't a enclosed bank position, it wasn't that. I used to go around door to door, it's called in Portuguese prospector, and I would take care of all the banking needs of the people. I would go with the car to each to our clients, and if they want to make a deposit, a withdrawal, exchange a check, dollars, whatever, apply for credit.
Yes.
We'll take care of all the paper. Then whenever they needed to sign or something, they would go to Ribeira Grande because we didn't have an agency here in Nordeste. Because our clients grew, then they opened an agency here in Nordeste. And I went to work for the bank and Banco Comercial dos Açores, and I stayed there as a banker for approximately 30 years. Banco Michelense, Banco Comercial dos Açores. Then they told me if I wanted to go back to work, and I says no, I really want to retire. So they were very nice to me, Santander, very nice to me. This was in April 2016. In December 2016, they called me. I was a little bit emotional. I was emotional at that time. Nobody ever gave me anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a golden watch, and they told me because of my history as an excellent employee that they were going to give me full retirement. So I accepted it. I was very happy for that. I met my wife here in Nordeste when I was already living here. My dad wanted to come. I says, Dad, but we don't have a house. Nós estamos a construir uma casa ou comprar uma casa. And he told me, oh filho, faz aquilo que tu achas melhor. Ou compramos uma casa ou fazemos uma casa. I needed a house because my parents at that time wanted to come back. I came back in 82 and they came back, my mom and dad, in 85 to live with me. Oh, actually, my dad's dream of coming back was fulfilled. He was retired, my mom was retired, and came back. When they came back, I already had the house built for them. So I lived with them from 85 to 1990. Well, actually, between 85 and 90, I met my wife. I got married in 1990. Had my first kid, which is a daughter, Natasha, in 1991, and Philippe in 1993. I just love the name of Natasha because at that time there was a conversão de Rússia, and when she was born, it was in that year, 1991, if I'm not mistaken, 1991. And the Pope came to the Azores, actually the day after she was born. And I went to see him. My wife was in the hospital. My daughter had been born the day before. And I always liked the name Natasha, and I said, you know, this is all interesting. Why don't we name our daughter Natasha, which is supposedly Russian, Natasha de Fatima, because of Fatima. Because of Fatima. Yes. So we named her Natasha de Fatima. Philippe has a little to do with the apostle called Philippe, which was very calm, very timid, and I couldn't call him António because I have a very strong spiritual relationship with Saint Anthony. And I said, no, he's not going to be another António, but he will be Philippe António. So I met my wife, we got married, we lived in the same house with my parents. We lived on the bottom floor, my parents lived on the top floor. Then my mom passed away. My dad continued with us. My mom never went back
to the United
States. And she actually never got an opportunity, and I understand that she loved me very much because she abdicated. She left behind 4 daughters and grandchildren to come with her husband and to be with me. And the interesting part of this is that my mom really loved the United States. She liked it here, but she loved the United States because she had her daughters and grandchildren. My dad loved this. He didn't like too much the United States because a lot of work and all that. He didn't like it. He liked it here. So he came back. My mom passed away, and she was buried here in Santo António, in the land that she loved. She liked the land, but she loved more United States. She loved this, but she loved more United States, let's say. And she was buried here. My dad loved this land, didn't like too much United States, or in other words, loved less United States. And the irony of the thing is that my mom was buried here,